two things that I thought were really cool. First of all, edit your prompt and just go back, click the button, go in and re-edit it. And I went, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Then when I resubmit, I get the output and it's perfect.
Lunch with them, lunch with them, lunch with them, lunch with them.
Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about how to outsmart your competition with AI. What is generative AI? How should sellers think about prompting for images, and how to change the e-commerce industry going forward? So welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Okay, like I said, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects right now, and that's how to outsmart your competition with AI, e-commerce and generative AI. Our guest is the founder and CEO of eComtent.ai. Max has spent over 6 years working at Amazon. He held a number of leadership roles, including for the launch of Amazon Business, B2B, which I don't think people take enough advantage of in the UK, and owning customer browse and catalog quality for the launch for Amazon in Singapore. So our first time guest and somebody I just met at the recent SellerCon event, we're going to be welcoming Max Sinclair. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show. Oh, welcome, Max.
Hello, thank you for having me, Norm. Big time listened to the podcast for a while, so I'm excited to be on it. Finally.
You know what? I'm so excited when I heard that you're going to be on today. This is such a hot topic. In fact, just before the podcast, I was just asking you about a couple of things as well. So anyways, I love AI. I'm right into it. I don't know enough about it, but I'm learning. I'm actually taking 2 courses, one more advanced than the other. But yeah, I just can't wait to get started.
So am I. I'm also refreshing, of course. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
So let's just start. There's a lot of people, and I don't know where they are. So I'm just assuming that there's going to be some new listeners here that have no clue. They've heard about it. What is it? What is generative AI, and why is it going to change the world?
Sure. So I think when we're talking about AI, this is a key question, right? Because AI has been around since the 1950s. It's certainly not new. It's in all of our phones. It's in all of our computers. But there's been 2 real big shifts that's happened over the last couple of years. The first one is a new type of model which has been developed, which is called a GAN, or a Generative Adversarial Network. And what we have here, just to summarize it briefly, is you have one network which is focused on creating content similar to the content it's been trained on. So in an e-content case, images, trained on a bunch of images, it can reproduce images. And then you have a discriminator, which is looking at the generated content and the original content and saying yes, no, like, is this is this an original piece or not? And the generator in the training gets so good that it can then generate content similar to its training, but different based on the prompt that you give it. And that's a massive landmark that happened in 2014, and it just started to become commercialized in 2022. And I think ChatGPT really was at kind of the forefront that brought this into everyone's imagination. So that's a big shift that's happened. The second big shift that's happened is just the size of the models, which have just been rapidly increasing. So taking that ChatGPT for example, GPT, the original one, had 100 million parameters. GPT-4 had 100 trillion. And to put that into context, 100 million seconds is about 3 years, and 100 trillion seconds is 3 million years. So the size of these models growth is substantial, and there's actually a new technology that's come out in these GANs, and that's why everyone is now talking about this, and why it's kind of impacting e-commerce in so many different ways.
Yeah, I know when I was first introduced to ChatGPT, I was at a buddy's office, and he goes, "Oh, you won't believe this. Check this out." And we were going, "Oh, wow." We were writing poems. It goes a little further than that. But that's where we were going, oh my God. It kind of reminds me about back in the day. So I'm the old guy that actually plugged his phone into these 1200 baud modems and couldn't believe what he was seeing, or seeing that image come across. It took 5 minutes. Well, that's where we are right now. Like, we're thinking, wow, this is incredible. But wait a year to see where we are. Not like 5 years, but wait a year. I don't know where we're going to be, but this kind of leads me to something else. So most of the people that are on here are from the e-com industry, either Amazon listeners or Shopify, Walmart Marketplace. But how can you take this and use this for your e-com industry or niche?
Sure. So I think there's a number of different ways that people are employing generative AI right now. So the first one, and then also I'd love to talk about, maybe we can later, like how it's going to be, because I spend a lot of time thinking about what's happening. I want to stay ahead of the curve, certainly with our business. So that's kind of a separate one. But right now, just to name a few, one of my favorite ones I've seen, I used to be my first job at Amazon was an account manager. We used to have to write plan of actions for the sellers we managed. It followed a particular format. It was a pain to get people unblocked, as I'm sure you felt, and your listeners felt a lot more. You can write pretty good kind of POAs with ChatGPT, and you can write even better plan of actions with models which have been specifically trained on Amazon content, like a free one called frequently.ai, which is ChatGPT fine-tuned on Amazon content to help you create stuff like that. So,
and what was that called? Frequently.ai.
I just put it in there. Yeah, they they fine-tuned ChatGPT for Amazon use cases. It's I know the founder is super interesting guy. So that kind of content generation would be number one. Number two would be like sentiment analysis. I think this is going to grow more and more, but you can kind of plug in, again, using ChatGPT, look at various ASINs and kind of summarize the listings. And actually Amazon launched this, right? Amazon have launched this kind of AI generated listing review. I think it's in the US. I'm not sure like how launched it is, but it's definitely coming. And then the third one is the content creating text, creating images, creating infographics, and that's kind of what we do at eComtent. We're all about creating, content optimized for the Amazon use case.
Yeah, when we were at Silicon, we were sitting beside you and we were talking a bit, and you blew me away with your demo. And I hope that we might be able to even do a little sharing. Yeah, and just show. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to describe this because this is a podcast, and most of the people see this or hear this on the podcast rather than on video. But I really would like to show our listeners.
I'm not known for being a particularly descriptive person, but I'm going to try my very best for your listeners. So I will share my screen. Share screen. And I'm going to share this screen. So this is the interface, and we've got three at the moment. We've got three separate interfaces. We've got one for generating images, one for generating infographics, and one for generating listings. I'm going to take an example product. I know we're on the beard podcast. So I've taken this beard oil. I remember you talking in Canada when I saw you kind of doing a talk there, and I think you sell some kind of beard products. I couldn't find your specific one, unfortunately, but I've taken this one. It's just going slightly longer than normal given how much this streaming software is taking up in my bandwidth. But then we can really, we've trained 2 models, precise and creative. I won't get into that. I'll just generate 2 images for now. And yeah, you can type in your prompt. So for example, beard oil on a table outside with a man with a bushy beard in the background, or however you want to do it. And with generative AI, we don't really know what's going to come, but my fingers are crossed for something which is good. Thank you, Amazon Elite. I appreciate that it's been recommended. That's always good to know. And I think we're going to give away free access in today, so maybe you'll get it for free. Not to give away the giveaway.
I think you just did.
But here we can see kind of this result with the man and his bushy beard and the beard oil. So yeah, that's kind of the image generator tool.
That is amazing. That does look like an image that you can put onto Amazon, and it looks realistic enough. The placement looks nice. What about, I'm kind of curious, and maybe I'm throwing you off sequence here, but what about your infographics? That's what I'm really interested in.
Sure. Let me just save the remove background version of this image. So I will go into the infographics, and I don't know if you guys know what an auto GPT is. Again, so this is taking slightly longer than normal to load. But Auto GPT basically can like take actions as and we've trained a mini one. So I'm going to go and select we have all of these beautiful templates. I will just use the first one for ease. I will then put in my product name, which is I'll say Norms beard oil, and I'll take some descriptions. Let's say good for beard growth, men in say 30 plus. I guess you're in that range.
30s. Yeah, absolutely.
What else do we want to say? Helps you to look better for the women. I don't know. You just paste in whatever you need here. That's probably not enough, but we'll just do it now. I'm going to upload the picture that I removed the background and click generate. And you're going to see here, hopefully in a number of seconds, kind of this infographic generated. And again, like I've used this template, but we have a number, and this is growing of these templates to use here, and you can go and change everything. But it gives you a good start, at least with the AI.
Kels, can you throw the website in there? I believe Shahid is looking for that. And can you do a custom background?
So all of your, so like, let's say you want to choose a different one. I'll just do all this stuff now.
And this is amazing, by the way, and we have a lot of people listening right now. If you have any comments about this, what do you think about this tool? This app. This is incredible.
So you can take all of the image that we generated earlier, which will be in the photo section, and you can put in a custom. Random stuff coming in here. I think this one was a nice one. You can put in the custom background, like so. You can kind of, maybe that's a bad infographic example, but you can add in the elements that you need to kind of, bring this forward. I don't know, say something about the beard oil, whatever. Yeah. So you can do all that stuff. So you can do that, and we also have the ability to generate the product listings in any language, Spanish, French, German, Hindi, Bengali, you name it. And we are working to improve this and add in the optimized keywords. But right now you'd have to find your own ones using a separate tool. But we'll get there. We'll get there with an Amazon API shortly. That's kind of what we've got at the moment. Shahid says, it's like Canva. It's like Canva, but we are building specifically for marketplace listings. You can AI generate your product image, your infographic, your A+ content, your text. And I'm very, very excited about where we are going with with this tool. So right now, I don't think you certainly can't put like the biggest challenge with AI is this hallucinations piece, right? If you try to use a Midjourney or something like this and put in your beard oil with Midjourney, what you'll get is totally random beard oils, because AI really struggles to, it's generative by nature, so it's trying to create, new caps on the lid and new logos, and that's literally what it's been done by nature, right? It's been trained on thousands of images of serums, and like it knows what a serum is, and it's going to add random pieces to your serum. So what we've been very, very focused on is enabling lifestyle images with your specific product. And that's kind of like our unique, our USP, but you can put humans in it, like I've shown you, and everything else. So I would say we're more like a Midjourney, but with your specific product. But then we also have like the Canva AI generated feature as well, and the listing feature as well, because we're like focused on marketplaces.
So there's a 3D rendering. Okay, so let's say I have a pillow or sheets or some apparel that's wrinkled. Can I use this to make a 3D rendering of something?
So interesting question, and I can give you a bit of a history to answer that about our business. We started off trying to do that. So when we first launched our business in September 2022, and in that iteration, what we did was similar to what you said, Norm. We would train a model on multiple images of a singular product, and we would then try and create this 3D render that you can put in any situation. This was it was successful, but the challenge was the scalability, because what we would have to do is literally train a model for each individual product. And in that way, although once you had to be clear, I think that okay, a different point, I won't make it now. But yeah, so we had that, but the challenge was we'd have to change an individual product for all your SKUs, and when we were trying to scale, it just wasn't plausible. So we've now moved to this way where we have fine-tuned for specifically for the e-commerce use case, and we kind of place the input image in the output image. It normally takes about 7 seconds to generate an image, and you can generate thousands. But yeah, so it is possible, but not with us currently in this format.
Are you going down that path?
We I think one of the big challenges with kind of in the startup world, and maybe you've had this as well, is focus. We've definitely had clients interested in doing this, particularly enterprise clients, large furniture sellers, for example. Our challenge is that we only, we have a small team. We've got 2 AI researchers, my co-founder, and a couple of prompt engineers part-time. So we don't really we need to be really focused as a team to build the best product in one product, and not to try and build too many different things. So we aren't doing it right now. That being said, in the future, I'd love to, but it's not on our roadmap. We want to build right now the best co-pilot for Amazon sellers to optimize their listings.
Okay, very good. It's amazing. And anyways, what we're going to try to do for those of you who might be listening on a podcast, in our show notes, I'll see if we could take some screenshots and put them in there, just so you can see exactly what we're talking about. So I've used a couple of different apps, and this is one of the better ones. There are other ones out there, but something so easy and specifically made for e-commerce. It's so nice. It's just so easy. The user interface seems to be that's it. It's a simple, easy user interface. Anyways, I don't usually talk about apps when I'm on the show. Occasionally I do.
Sure. No.
But where we're going with this is incredible. And with you so much in the industry, where are we going with where can this go?
I'm gonna give three things, and this is what I love to think about. And I like, given my background, I like my first introduction to AI was actually at Amazon. Thank you, Cool Hand. 99. My first introduction was to AI was Amazon. I was actually studied history at university, so not technical, but I was on the Amazon Amazon Machine Learning University, which is like an internal thing, where they would kind of teach you how to do all of this stuff. And I ended up kind of managing kind of like what we would call now deterministic AI, like classification of ASINs and this kind of stuff as part of my job, I'd say 4 or 5 years ago now. But anyway, my number one thing that I think is going to change is search. And I don't think this is particularly controversial insight anymore. But what I can maybe add, which maybe people don't know, is that Amazon recently, I mean in the last 3 or 4 months, opened and then closed some recs, job recs, in which they said, we're reimagining search, data AI scientists, like, come reimagine search with us, basically outlining that, publicly, that they're going to change search on the website. And I would imagine, knowing how I do, is that we would have this kind of Bing, and I don't know if people have used Bing, but it's kind of like a co-pilot on the side of your browser, where you're just chatting. And I would imagine Amazon launching something like this quickly, where they kind of would just type in, they would know your shopping history, which they do. They would know your location. They would then try and surface to you, based on your specific request in a conversational style, specific products. So rather than showing 50 products a page in 4 pages, you're going to get 5, but they're going to be specifically tailored. And I think this is something which is going to completely change how SEO works. But I think Amazon don't really have a choice in this, because there's already startups which have been, backed, places like Ollie.ai, where they have kind of this search-based interface, where you kind of you give them a few details about you, like, oh, I'm Max, I'm buying a present for my girlfriend, she likes to go to the theater, and then they and I'm in London or Toronto, where I'm based, and then they'll give you like specific specific recommendations. So this is, and Bing Shopping have also launched like a shopping thing, which is similar. So Amazon are going to have to, similar to Google, kill the cash cow, which is ads, in my opinion, and search is going to completely change.
I was reading on the weekend about Hexa and how the Amazon is, I guess, invested or bought Hexa to develop 3D imagery around 2D. How do you see that rolling out?
I haven't seen that, so I need to double check rather than speculate. The space is moving. The space is moving so fast. It's generally it's hard to keep up. But I thank you for the flag. I'll have a look.
All right, it's called Hexa, Hexa, and what Amazon wants to do with this company is to take all of their 2D images and change them automatically into 3D.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty unique. And I haven't thought about that. That kind of feels more like down the metaverse kind of route of the world. Right. And actually, Amazon launched this really cool thing. I don't know if it's still live, but I remember this, where you could kind of use your phone and place like the product in the room. So they would kind of like 3D scan, they 3D scan your room, and you could like use your phone in like a kind of mixed reality thing to like place in a sofa or a coffee. I don't know what's happened to this, but it definitely was live for a little bit, or like at least in like beta a little bit.
And they did that with I believe it was Explore, where you could just take your garage and just have this just different room appear, and where you could have all your products lined up. And I don't know, I thought it was such a cool idea when I saw it, but it's probably it's just on the shelf.
I mean, my other comment on the Hexa thing is, like, Amazon operates, like, Amazon is so massive and operates across so many categories that like there's so many use cases apart from marketplace. So I don't know what this is, but for example, like they just do like they do the they walk in, walk out, checkout thing in stores. They do, they do like 700, the whole all of AWS. So who knows? I don't know. I can go on to my other kind of insight on where I think this is going, and this again it's quite interesting. But this is from Mr. Bill Gates, who basically did an amazing quote saying, "You'll never go to a search site again. You'll never shop on Amazon," and he was referencing Reid Hoffman's Inflection AI. And Inflection AI are building personal assistants. So they're building these personal assistants. They're going to go, and in the future, you're going to kind of in this world confide everything you need in this assistant. It's going to be like Google, but it's going to know you, and it be able to do tasks like an auto GPT, like find your stuff on Amazon. And I think that the thinking here, I don't know how much I buy into it, to be honest, just to kind of put this idea out there, is that your personal assistant will know in your home that you're missing, you love to cook omelette and you don't have any eggs. So like, why would you go to Amazon or any other store? But you just go to your personal assistant and say, get me the things, order the things I need to do the eggs, and it's going to do it for you. So it's going to be like an application layer above Amazon. So that's an interesting use case, which I do see some merit in, although I don't think Amazon's gonna go away quietly at all.
I don't think so, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the bottom of the hour, and just in case you're new, we'll be answering questions at the top of the hour, but we also give away a giveaway every single podcast. So today we're giving away, Max, why don't you explain it?
We're giving away free access for a month for the tool. I've been drilled into me by my various accelerators that I've been on, that you should never give anything away for free if it has value as a kind of founder, because you need to be proving the use case. But this is a very unique time when I will be doing that. So yeah, excited to be giving it away for free to someone on the wheel.
All right, fantastic. So as you can see, there's so much opportunities just to play around with it and get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I'm also going to be doing something that I have never offered before, but we're doing Amazon Lives every Tuesday and Thursday, and on either Saturday or Sunday. Oh my God, I don't know why I do this, but anyways, I do. And on Prime Day, there are brands that we're charging well over $1,000 for to go on Prime Day with us, and I'm looking for 2 brands, and I'm going to do them for free for you. So if you have 2 brands, either if they're here or if you can get them to me within, and that's shipping them to my place in Toronto, then I'll go live with them and I'll promote them for you. And I'm going live probably a few times on Prime Day. So that's absolutely free, along with the other products that I'm sending. So that's completely separate from the giveaway. But if you are interested, either the first 2 that we see in comment, send it over to me, and Kelsey will give you all the information on that. The other thing, if you have comments, this is something that is a really interesting conversation, comments or questions about this. We've already got 4 or 5 questions. I'm probably expecting a few more, and then we'll make sure that we get them answered. All right. So Kelsey, if you're doing your job right and you're not too tired from the weekend, can you hit that button so we can get a sponsor? This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by SureGo Marketing. Ready to take your brand to the next level on TikTok and Instagram? SureGo Marketing specializes in helping entrepreneurs and coaches build profitable brands on TikTok and Instagram, and in less than 90 days. With SureGo Marketing, you can build your brand, create incredible video content, and increase leads without spending a single dime on ad spend. Visit suregomarketing.com today and elevate your brand. Now, let's get back to the show. All right. Okay. So, again, if you're new, the reason why we're not answering your questions right now on the spot is because we answer it towards the top of the hour. Let's see. Where do we go from here? This has been great. Let's go back to those images and let's talk about prompting and how you can prompt for images.
Sure. So I see a lot of what I call prompt porn around, and it's kind of this like use this and make 50 grand a month of ChatGPT with these 6 prompts. So like I really don't want to be one of these people. What I would say is we have done a lot of research internally where we look at all of, we have a lot of customers. We've been live for a long, basically since the start of this AI stuff started. And we've looked at the prompts internally. We've ranked them in terms of 1 to 10 on how accurate the prompt was to the output image, and then 1 to 10 on how engaging the output image is. Like, do we like it or not? And this is given us kind of a basic structure of how we think is best to prompt and for images. And I'll put this in the chat, and then I can talk about each one. But the structure is as follows. Is it going to go in? Yeah. So the subject, which is your product, in or on the scenario, location, like how it's interacting with its background, and then the descriptors. So I'll go into each one. Like number 1, the subject. The AI, well, don't start with please can you do this or put my blah blah blah. Like we do see some of this in our tool with our customers, and the AI, like you don't need to be polite to it. Like I'm British, so I'm naturally polite, but like you don't need to be polite to it. Just tell it what to do because it'll give you better results. And like we've seen like the data on this. So secondly, on the subject, like the AI isn't going to know your specific brand. So if you saw in my example, I said beard oil. The AI will understand what beard oil is from the labeling and the training data. It will understand what most generic products are, chair, necklace, you name it, it'll get it. But if you say Maxi Boy 5000, imagine that's like kind of funky chair, it's just going to have no idea what you're referring to, and therefore it's going to produce, something more random. So that's on the subject. I'll just move on. Please stop me if you want to.
Yeah, I was just going to say with prompts, being Canadian, once it answers, I always say thank you. I don't know. It's just Canadian.
There we go. I think we're kind of alike in that regard. But yes. So the second one is like the scenario or location. So you want to then kind of describe how your product is going to interact with the image. So like, is it on a table? Is it on a kitchen counter? Is it, on a mountainside, on a beach? Like just describing that, like giving the AI understanding of where like how it should place the product. And then the last one is the descriptors. So we found, and we've written a free guide, and we're happy to share this afterwards. But basically, there's a bunch of descriptors which are really useful. The main one being like camera lenses and cameras, because in the training set data, if you reference a camera, you're telling the AI to go and look at similar images which have been tagged with a camera, and typically these are going to be the high quality images, right? These are going to be the very beautifully set ones. So it's good to reference like a camera, the different lens. So if you're doing like a Mac Pro photo of like this coffee, you want like I'm going to mess this up now, a 185 millimeter lens or something like this. If you're doing portrait, you've got an 85 millimeter lens. If you're doing landscape, it's a 34 millimeter lens. I'm no photographer, but I've just learned this because it helps the AI to go to images similar to which it's been trained on in that specific output that you're trying to get. And then you could also add descriptors like someone in the background, like we did the man with the beard in the background, or anything else. So That's kind of like the anatomy that we found is the best in the image space.
So the more particular you can get on the camera, so not only the lens, but what about the depth of field, the style of lighting?
Exactly.
So the more detail you put in, the better.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So
100%.
if you don't know the depth of field or the shutter speed, you can describe it. I would think you could describe it saying more of a blurry background, right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. But it's always good if you don't know anything about a camera, especially like if you're working with a Mid-Journey, for example, put in these prompts that are very detailed. And how do you learn it? I guarantee you that there's YouTube videos talking about, the 10 things you have to know about photography to get better prompting. And maybe, Kelsey, while we're on here, if you can kind of do a quick search, maybe you can find something for the listeners. But we'd also really love that guide that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Well. Let me paste that in the chat. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
So I'll carry on talking if it's okay. So the second kind of piece of advice I would have is, I hope that's not with it. Yeah, that should be there. The second one that I would have is experimentation. I would say like even like we just had an office hours in our company with like two of the really leading kind of researchers in this field. Kind of we sat down like our team and these guys, and like even these guys don't know how these models don't work. Like it's a complete mystery. It's a complete black box. And therefore, like you need to experiment. You need to understand that it's not going to happen the first time. Like it's never going to happen the first time round. And actually, like experimentation and iteration is a very important part of like prompt engineering. And then my tip for ChatGPT or a text-based model would be, let's say I don't want to show you an example in case it's private, but let's say you're writing something and then at the end of it you get exactly what you want. You can say, tell me what I should do to get to this output next, what prompt I should write to get to this output next time, or something to that effect, where you're basically asking ChatGPT what, like you've done all this experimentation iteration, you've gone for something which looks kind of crap to something that you really like. Sorry for swearing. And then you go, okay, like what's the prompt to get here? And then you start from that point next time, and you just have like a folder in your computer, whatever, of those prompts. Because I found 9 times out of 10, like ChatGPT will give you a good prompt to get to that output, and it might not be perfect, but it'll get you a lot closer to where you want to be. You're starting from 70% rather than 0% next time you're doing it.
I was talking with Larissa over at IntelliRank, and she's doing a lot with AI as well. And something she told me about editing a prompt, which it really changed the way that I was doing things. I didn't know this, and I was doing this quite a bit, and I overlooked this, where let's say that you have a prompt. So you've got this really long session or chat going on, and all of a sudden, and this happens a lot, where all of a sudden your prompt will start to go off target and you want to bring it back on target. She told me something, 2 things that I thought were really cool. First of all, edit your prompt and just go back, click the button, go in and re-edit it. And I went, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Then when I resubmit, I get the output and it's perfect. Like, well, depending, it might be 3 or 4 or 5 different times, but it ends up being what I want. And it's just not, going down and taking up space. And then the other thing, and if you're not familiar, if this is driving you crazy, this is one of those little newbie things that I learned that stopped me from losing more hair. And that's when I was copying. So what I would do is I would Control-C, copy, and put it into a Word document or put it wherever, and I'd have the black background. And it's so simple to get rid of it. And it's just a little box right beside, like to the right, there's usually 3 things, up, down, up, down thumb, and then a box that has it looks like an editing, like it's just a page. Click it, it's copied. And I know it's newbie, but I could not have been the only person that was going crazy with that.
Yeah.
So anyways, sorry to go, like, I don't know if Kelsey told you, Max, but I go down different rabbit holes. I'm sorry.
No, I've listened to the podcast before, Norm, I know.
Okay.
Many times, actually.
So anyways, carry on.
I'll give one last prompt.
Sure.
Sorry, tip. God. One last tip before we move on from this, which is, which one do I go for? I think I've already touched on this, but this is one of my favorite ones, which is try to understand the characteristics and the limitations of the model you're using. Like AI right now is at its nascent stage to where it will be. It's amazing. It can drive incredible results. It can make you 10x faster and 10x more efficient and 10x more cheaper than your current processes. But it's not going to be able to do everything, right?
Right.
And I think it's important to think about, and you don't need to be a scientist to do this, but it's important to think about, like, how has this model been trained? Like, what can I see? Like just think, like, logically, like, how's it been trained, and therefore what can I expect? So I'll give you an example. Like ChatGPT, we don't actually know what it's been trained on, but we think it's been trained on like scraped data from the internet, lots of scraped data. So that you're or like random websites and journalist pages and this kind of stuff. So kind of you're going to be able to get good text. It's not going to be particularly accurate in some ways because it's come from all of the data on the internet. It's getting better as they're making it more complex with the newer versions. Equally, like on some image tools like Midjourney, like again, like you just think about like the kind of data it's been trained on, and therefore that can help you with your prompting. Like Midjourney has a very specific way of rating the prompts, and my guess would be this is because they have a very specific way of labeling the ingestion data that they're using, and their quality is better than anyone. And it's probably because they've got this like super fine, like refined way of labeling and training, which like DALL-E and others don't have. But therefore now that kind of you should use that in your prompting. So I think you should rather than kind of going in being like, oh, it's going to solve all my problems, let's just type some stuff and like see what happens. You should try and just think about like what is this model for? How has it been trained? You could probably just type into Bing and get an answer to any of these questions, right? It's like you didn't even need to know the answer. You just need to have the question and you can find the answer quickly now using AI. And that would help you with how you would do your prompt.
Okay, so last question before we get into the questions. It's more about the action steps. What action steps can you provide to some of the listeners that they should be on right away?
What action steps could I would say that, like, and I think it's in the title of the podcast, right? Like, this is your competitors are using this, so you should be aware, you should be experimenting. I think with the phase we're in right now, and we're even talking to like some large enterprise, like very big customers, like everyone is in this experimentation phase. And I think that's where like businesses should be. And I think they should be doing, like, on whatever level it is, like rapid testing. What is the smallest test possible you could do and the easiest to see if this works? So like, you don't need to change everything at once, but could you test one product and test, for 2 weeks and use Amazon, however you want to do that. So I would say, like, be mindful, like understand, like be aware of what's happening, and then like understand what like specific experiments you're doing. And this is advice that I've got, and I'll share it because I think most of your people will be business owners or running, running businesses in some form. Is that like learning is cool, right? But like what you really want to be doing is like setting experiments to define exactly what you want to be learning. So I want to be learning X, I want to be learning Y. How can I set an experiment in order for us to test that as quickly as possible, and then I can like iterate and move? So I think that's how I would think about AI right now.
Okay, very good. All right, Kelsey, let's get into some of these questions.
All right. So let's see. Our first question is from Simon. Why do you think the key AI architects at Google and Elon Musk and big voices like this are saying AI is dangerous?
I love this question. And I'm going to answer it in a long-winded way, but hopefully it makes sense, as I have done with all of these questions. I think, firstly, like there's a lot of discussion about AI regulation. Well, firstly, the direction that Google, yes, there's a lot of discussion about AI regulation. What people are talking about regulating are LLMs and GANs and the kind of stuff you'll be discussing, like ChatGPT, generating images, that kind of stuff. That's what people are discussing, legislating right now. Where Google and Elon Musk, I don't know specifically Elon Musk, but definitely Sam Altman at OpenAI, have explicitly say they're going is artificial general intelligence, which is a totally different thing from like a chatbot. And like what we have now, where you're basically predicting the next word really well, or like creating an image that looks very similar to a training data but slightly different based on your prompt. Like these AGI is going to be smart, like a human level intelligence, where it can learn like a human brain and take action in a 10x way to how a human can. And I worry about how AGI could be going. And I think we do need a pause on AGI. I think, coming back to the question, why people are talking about taking a pause now is, I think it's very self-interested, to be honest. I think like these big companies, OpenAI, like Elon Musk has just raised a ton of money to like build his like own version of OpenAI. Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, all these companies, they have like some advantage now, and they're trying to stop this. They're trying to regulate it, and therefore make it completely impossible for anyone to catch up and like establish that moat. And if not to get too political, but if you see how like heavily regulated industries perform, let's say aviation or healthcare, if it's heavily regulated, what you end up with is a monopoly of one or two or three big players, because it takes forever to do anything. And a great example of this is actually the current EU legislation, and UK is not in the EU anymore, so this wouldn't apply to us. But I feel for the start of the founders in the EU, they would have to apply to the EU, and they would have to, get them to check everything that they're doing, and that could take 3 months. And then for a startup, like 3 months, you can't do anything. It's going to kill you, right? You don't have time to kind of go through these bureaucratic means. So I think there's definitely a lot of self-interest in these calls that AI is dangerous in what's being currently regulated. That being said, AGI, which is a totally separate thing to what we've been talking about for the whole of the show, is completely dangerous. And I do think like this is scary, but it's kind of like, it's very hypocritical for these kind of leaders to be calling for a slowdown on one end. At the other end, they're using their companies to like, go full speed to build here. So that's my answer to that one.
Perfect. Not long-winded. Perfect.
All right. And AMZ Elite says this is a great answer. I've never heard that complex and interesting approach in the past.
Thank you, AMZ Elite. There we go.
And then Simon says, but aviation and healthcare are regulated to ensure.
True. No.
He's
I agree.
being very
I agree.
sarcastic, I think.
No, but I agree with AGI. There's a problem, and it is like something that does need to be regulated. And like, I would question, do we even need to build it at all? Like, why the hell are we building this like alien life form that like, I don't know. That's a separate question. But I think like what we're currently talking about in the EU and like in some states in the US about regulating is not inherently dangerous in any way, really. Like you could argue that fake news could explode, but we've had ChatGPT and it hasn't. But like there hasn't been like so you've done that test already. Like, does fake news explode if you can create articles at like 1 million in a second? And it hasn't, right? So that is kind of the thing that people are most worried about. So I don't know why you would assume that if more people in a decentralized way can create more niche types of chatbots, one for e-commerce, one for law, one for this, one for that, why like that would suddenly be dangerous. Whereas like what we have at the moment, which is like 3 companies, is dangerous. I don't know. Like I don't buy it. But that's my opinion.
Okay.
All right. And from Shahid, is there any AI which can compare images and give outputs with the best converting in infographics after analysis?
So we are, I want to say content in the future. I don't know is the answer. Like it's definitely like the direction we're trying to go in, and like we're building super fast. So yeah, I would I'd hope so soon.
Okay, and then our last question about AI. Let me see. Oh, I just lost it. Okay, sorry, just a second. What's your recommendation for better style lighting and shadows and curves when it comes to AI?
Sure. So I would refer you to the prompt guide, but I'll just read it because I have it in front of me. So for lighting, we have like prompts at the end, such like in the descriptor section of a prompt: natural lighting, diffuse lighting, hard lighting, neon lighting, sunny, partly cloudy, overcast, left-sided light, right-sided light. I think the point is like it really specifically depends on the unique use case, and therefore like you need to be specific in the image you're trying to generate. And if you're trying to generate an image of like indoors, and you might want like window and lighting coming from the left or right or whatever, or like natural sunlight. Whereas if you're in on a street, maybe you want like neon light. But I would just say like my answer would be like the specific lighting that makes that image. Like there's no one like hack which is going to like do it for everything, right? But like the specific lighting in your Imagine output you should include, because I wouldn't rely on the AI necessarily to do it by itself at the moment.
And there are options when you're working with it. Tell me if I'm wrong, Max, but you could talk about on 45-degree angles, a kicker light. You could have diffuser filters, what type of diffuser filters. You could use Kelvin temperatures. There's all sorts of ways of doing it, or even descriptions.
Yeah. I think our last guest, we were talking about this for some reason. They were saying that photographers right now really love using AI because they can be so specific and they know the exact terminologies and the vocabulary to get those perfect images. So if you know a photographer, maybe reach out to them or ask your maybe not the product photographer that you're not using anymore. If you have a photographer friend to use.
All this is going to do is help the industry. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
And can I make? I know we're going slightly over, but can I just make a comment on that? Which is like at the advent of photography, people, very significant philosophers would publish stuff saying, "Oh, this is a death of art. Like art is going to completely die." And if you kind of think about what used to happen pre-photography, you'd have all these illustrators in like the Victorian magazines and this kind of stuff. And fast forward, 70 years. We have more illustrators than ever. There's like 30,000 illustrators in the US. They have one of the highest job satisfactions out of all jobs. This is true. And they also, and what are they doing? They're doing stuff like making Pixar movies and Disney movies, which would be completely unimaginable to like the people who are like saying, "Oh, photography is going to kill illustrators." So I don't buy this for a second. Like you're going to need images. You're going to need images to train models. You're still going to want images in some format. So like I just think technology is like lift all boats. I don't think that it's really going to be the death to this or the death to that.
I agree with you.
All right. And AMZ Elite is Max from the UK.
Yeah. Yes.
Can never tell.
All right, London. And Shahid is just wants to make a comment about he's using his product photography or looking to make that main image, so there's less to play with the white background.
But there is, Shahid. I was at an event last weekend, and it was 2 weekends ago now, and was talking about this, where you can change that image, like that white image. If you take a look at all your competitive analysis and what does it look like? I was using a knife example where you have a black box and 9 out of 10 had black boxes, and we changed that into a yellow box. Or we had this knife go from right to left rather than like just flipped it. Everybody else was going from the handle to the blade. We switched it around just to show, and we proved it that people, their eyes went directly to that light or directly to that image. But that's not it. When you can create an image that's either a better quality image, better lighting, you do have room to play to make that image stand out better. So yes, you only have the white background, but there are ways that you can play around with that to make it jump off the page. So yeah, we are limited, but you have some leeway. Okay, so I think that's it. Let's see. Last chance. In 30 seconds, we'll be going over to the wheel. So if you are interested in our giveaway today, is the free month from Max to use his app. Just hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. All right, Kels, let's go over to the wheel. This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by Jeff Schick Legal. Amazon suspensions are very real, but how do sellers like us protect ourselves against these costly suspensions without spending thousands of dollars? For a very low monthly retainer of just $89, get full access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. Mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Now let's get back to the show. All right. So, Kels, just we got one that came in from Youssef, and then let's get over to the wheel.
Okay, before we do, Max, do you want to let everyone know contact information?
Oh, yeah. So you can contact me at max@econtent.ai. That's ECOMTENT.ai. I'm on LinkedIn. It's probably my biggest one. Quite cringy, but there I am nowadays, kind of talking about stuff about Amazon and whatnot and AI. So yeah, we have TikTok. It's not managed by me, but if you prefer the TikTok, we're there as well.
Well, Kelsey will promote you for sure on TikTok.
All right, so here we go. Here's the Wheel of Kelsey.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, popular. Look at that.
Okay, so I'm going to shuffle these up. We do this every single podcast, so make sure you come back Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And let's see who today's winner is. If you are the winner, please email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com. And it looks like Redbeard.
All right, Redbeard.
All right, congratulations.
That's a nice prize. And sorry, Smail. I hope I pronounced your name right, but you got in a little bit late. But tune in next time, and you'll be able to enter. Also, Kels, anybody who was interested in that the Amazon Live promotion, just get me over their information, and we'll promote their products. Okay. All right. So, I know this came up 2 or 3 times. What's the cost of your service?
We have packages starting from $95 a month, which is for the image generator, and $165 is image plus infographics plus listing. So we have and then we have one in the middle, which is images and infographics for $135.
All right. That's a fair price. Hey, go to a photographer and go to a graphic artist. You'll be paying quite a bit. And you just I have not tried this, but it's impressed me.
I sent it to you.
What's that?
I said I sent it to you, but it's fine.
Did you?
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry.
Oh, well,
Try it, let me know.
It must have gone into my spam or something. But
Okay.
anyways, I'll have to ask for that link again because it looks awesome. All right. So thank you for joining us today. Max, you were awesome. Stay in when you get removed, stay in the green room, and I will come right back to you. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Want more great information? don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with the